Oh my goodness. Can you believe this? Just a few seconds, not even 10 seconds after I get off the air from doing my live show, lo and behold, I get the news coming across Twitter. Jeff Passan reporting the Mets won up the Phillies. Phillies get Johan Duran. They think they outfoxed the Mets when the Mets traded for Tyler Rogers. Mets said, okay, we're gonna outdo you, and we're gonna go get Ryan Helsley, maybe the second most coveted reliever on the market. So the Mets are acquiring him. Will Salmon from the New York Times also reporting it. This is getting absolutely crazy. Now we're waiting on the return here. Now, my concern is it cost the Mets their 10th and 12th prospects plus a major leaguer to get Tyler Rogers, who nobody was even thinking about was going to be going. And now to get Helsley, who it was reported at least 5 or 6 teams were interested in. Now, what is it going to take? So I'm going to check in here, and we're just going to kind of find out about this. I'm going to give you my reaction in real time. And I'm excited to get Helsley, the baseball purist. Love you, Y2K. Thanks, man. I appreciate it. I love you, too. I didn't know I'd be doing 3 shows today, including a short. But, you do what you got to do. This is nuts. It looks like we do have a return here. It is just coming through from Will Salmon, reported 1 minute ago. All right, so the Mets are sending Jesus Baez, Nate Dome, and Frank Ellisalt to the Cardinals. Now, Ellisalt is not a player that I am very familiar with. I know he's not in their top 30 prospects. Now, Nate Dome, I know, has been rising. He is their 14th ranked prospect, currently with the Brooklyn Cyclones, 22 years old. I did not get to see him when I went to see the Cyclones play in Greensboro last week, nor did I get to see Jesus Baez. But anyway, but Dome, third-round pick of the Mets in 2024, 6'4", 210 pounds. We'll get into Helsley in a little bit and all of that. 93, 95 mile an hour fastball. Dome has. Okay. So he does have some durability questions, and his secondary stuff, more of a fastball slider pitcher. Okay. But yeah, there are issues with his durability, and that does mean something. Like, it's kind of hard to know. He's probably going to be more of a reliever than he is a starter, is what most people say. Definitely the big piece to give up in this trade is Jesus Baez, the 20-year-old slugger who I've been looking at for 2 years now, and was pretty optimistic could be a pretty good piece for the Mets in future years. But now he goes. So he is 20 years old, 5'10", 180 pounds. He's got an interesting build. And he quickly emerged as an absolute power hitter. I mean, he can hit the ball 105 miles an hour despite only being 5'10". Has some knee issues, not sure where he's going to play in the field, but he was definitely a riser in the Mets system. So I honestly don't even think that's as painful a give up as the first one was, just because I've never heard of Ellisalt, to be honest. So it looks like John Heyman and Will Salmon are reporting that. So in return, the Mets get Ryan Helsley from the Cardinals, and I'll tell you what, I think all of a sudden the Mets went from having a horrible bullpen aside from Edwin Diaz into maybe the best in the National League. It's going to be right up there. You have on a given night maybe three guys who could close it out for you. So Helsley, just to look at his stats, last year pitched 62. Pitched in 65 games last year and finished a league high 62. 49 saves was the most in baseball. Pitched 66 innings, had a 2.04 ERA, a 1.10 WHIP, was an all-star for the second time in his career. 2.9 WAR if you look at WAR. This year, not quite as dominant, but still very good. 3.0 ERA even in 36 games, 21 saves in 36 innings. His WHIP is 1.38, which is 1.39. Still very, very good. So I got to tell you, I feel pretty good about it. 14 walks, 41 strikeouts. And now you put him in as a setup man for Edwin Diaz, and you can put in Tyler Rogers in the tight spots. You have Gregory Soto and you have Brooks Raley. That's 5 pitchers that you can feel pretty good about in that bullpen. That's pretty good. That's pretty dang good. And then past that, we go to the Mets roster. You still have Ryan Stanek, and now Ryan Stanek is like the fifth or sixth guy in the bullpen. That's crazy. And probably, I guess, Chris Davinsky, they had signed him to a major league deal, so maybe he stays around. And who else would it be? Oh, Reed Garrett. So you have, you have Davinsky, you have Garrett, Rico Garcia. I got a feeling this is the end of Rico Garcia. So if you figure out this bullpen, if you have 8 pieces, you've got Diaz closing, as I'm kind of muddling this out right now. You've got Rogers, you've got Helsley, you've got Stanek on the right side. You've got Garrett, you've got Davinsky, who can eat some innings. We've seen that. On the other side, you've got Raley and you've got Soto. And you've got a big-time bullpen. And I'll tell you what, for this absolutely anemic bullpen, anemic rotation that we have seen, where, again, nobody outside of David Peterson seems to be capable of throwing more than 5 innings. The Mets need – here's the thing. You don't, in my opinion, you don't need to have a great rotation and a great bullpen to win, but one of them has to be top level. I think about 2006. I know the Mets didn't win it all, but they were the best team in the National League, and they should have won the World Series. But they didn't have a very good starting rotation, especially once El Duque went down. That rotation was Glavine, Traxel, John Maine, and Oliver Perez in the playoffs, for God's sakes. But their bullpen was 6, 7 deep. Wagner, Heilman, don't make any jokes. Chad Bradford, Darren Oliver, Guillermo Mota. I mean, they had a really good pen that they could rely on. And that seems to be the model that the Mets are doing right now. So, baseball purists, the Dodgers won the World Series, the great bullpen in 2024. Absolutely. I dispute this idea you need an ace to win a World Series. You just need gamers. Who was the Dodgers ace last year? One Yamamoto, he wasn't that great. Jack Flaherty, Clayton Kershaw was hurt. So, I mean, who is the great starting pitcher they had? But between offense, rotation, relief pitching, you better have 2 of the 3 working. Got to have 2 of the 3. And of course, you do need to play good defense, which the Mets usually do. But yep, Armand, yep, we got it. Thank you very much. Let's see if there's anything else. This day as a Mets fan has been like being like a hamster on crack, up and down and up and down and up and down and up and down. The excitement of getting Tyler Rogers, the frustration with the return, getting their asses absolutely kicked by San Diego for the 3rd straight day, and Clay Holmes proving that he is nothing more than an average relief pitcher. And then the fear of the Phils getting Johan Duran, which they did for 2 top prospects. Phillies seem to have it all. Seem to be firmly in the lead. Mets come back and say, you know what? We're going to narrow that gap just a little bit more because we're going to get Ryan Helsley. And the Mets, in my mind, the bullpen just became a strength. So I will credit David Stearns for that. So really, what the Mets gave up here today, they give up a pitcher that nobody's heard of, a major league pitcher which most of their fans couldn't stand anymore, okay, in Jose Butto. Past that, you gave up prospects 8. Oh, they've already updated the list. Thanks, guys. All right, well, they gave up Jesus Baez, who was number 8 in their system, Nate Dome, who was, I believe, 16, and 10 and 12, who were Blade Tidwell and Drew Gilbert. So 4 prospects who were good, but really they kept their best guys, in my mind. Yep, Mick Abel and Tate. Yeah, Tate has a lot of power. That's a power hitter in single A. Mick Abel, very close. I was hoping they would have to give up Andrew Painter, who apparently has been like the top Philly prospect, it seems like, for 5 years. It's a little bit ridiculous. Armand, I'm to the point. You know what I'm at the point of? Just use Clay Holmes and Kodai Senga back-to-back. And I don't mean back-to-back days. I mean back-to-back appearances. 5 innings from Senga, 3 innings from Holmes. Just do that. I can't. Here's the thing. With starting pitchers, I could deal if one is really a 5-6 inning pitcher if he's effective. I could deal with one. The Mets have at least 2 like that, if not more. And then past that, yeah, you trust David Peterson. Frankie Montas is as flammable as freaking kerosene. I mean, the rotation does scare. And Sean Manaea, I love Sean Manaea, but he's still working his way back. He's basically not allowed to pitch past 5 innings. I'm not saying that's Carlos Mendoza. I'm not saying it's David Stearns. I'm not saying it's the Genius Analytical team. Man. Tidwell goes to 12 and Gilbert goes to 13. Wow. I like Drew Gilbert. People are so down on Drew Gilbert. I still like him. I don't know. I like him more than I like Tidwell, I'll tell you that. I say piggyback Holmes with Sproat. I don't know what Sproat's innings limit is for the year, but I wouldn't mind it. But it just frustrates me because, I feel fine with Peterson. I feel fine with Manaea because I'm thinking about the playoffs, assuming the Mets get there. And you need to have at least a 3 or 4-man rotation, all likelihood. But you have to have at least a 3. Maybe the Mets just go to a bullpen game as their 4th starter. It might go to that where Holmes pitches this, Senga pitches this, And then you have Peterson, Manaea. I can't do Montas. I can't do it. You need one other starter. Peterson, Manaea. I trust them. But then you have to trust Senga. Senga's got to build his length up. He just has to. Because I can't trust Holmes to do it. I can't trust Montas at all. At all. And if Holmes is coming out of the bullpen, I'm fine with it. Because remember, in the playoffs, you get rest. You rest between playoff days in most cases. Maybe not the wild card round, but after that, you get a day off pretty much between every game, sometimes 2. So your starting pitching depth is not as big of a concern. Yep, Gilbert has had some injuries, but he's been raking the last 4 to 6 weeks in Syracuse. He really has. It was getting to the point where I wanted the Mets to call him up, give him a chance, because I couldn't look at Tyrone Taylor and batting 9th and getting a hit maybe once every 2 weeks. I couldn't watch it anymore. Yeah, pair Holmes and Montas. You know what? Why not? Start Montas, give him 5 innings, give Holmes 3 innings. Why not? The problem, though, is Holmes, you never know when Holmes is going to suck. You know he's going to suck. You just don't know when he's going to suck. Don't clip that, anybody. But Holmes, sometimes it's the 1st inning. Sometimes it's the 5th inning. You never know. You never know when Clay Holmes is going to fall apart. But and I got to acknowledge this. As much as mad as I am at him, how can I kill him when the offense absolutely sucked today and have for a lot of the season? The fact that this offense, even without Juan Soto today, never mind that. There have been too many times over the last 6 weeks when Lindor and Alonso have done nothing. And without Lindor and Alonso doing their jobs, the Mets aren't going anywhere, no matter who David Stearns can trade for. Now, would I like to get a center fielder, one more bat for this lineup? Yes. My preference would be, I think, I would not be shocked if they get Robert or Mullins to play center field. I don't have any need for Harrison Bader. I'm sorry, I don't. If you get him, great, but at the same point, that makes Tyrone Taylor, it makes him obsolete in my mind. So, but if I had to predict, I would say the Mets do find a way to get Robert. Although deep down, I kind of like Mullins. I really would. I would like to get him. Yep, Gilbert has to be out of the 40-man or he goes. Yeah, the Mets traded some players who are on their 40-man roster. They opened up some spots. I think that's a reason that Budo went. Gilbert, I think, went for the same reason. So, yeah. So again, this bullpen, you have Diaz as the closer, and as your righties, you got Tyler. Can't mix up Taylor and Tyler. Tyler Rogers, Ryan Helsley, Ryan Stanek, Reed Garrett, and Chris Davinsky. And from the left side, you got Brooks Raley and Gregory Soto. I'm telling you, the Mets are going to have to win games with their bullpen, but David Stearns is counting on the offense to do their job. He has to count on his superstars being his superstars. That's it. Soto hitting when there are runners on. It's become a joke. Every time Juan Soto hits a solo home run, I go on there and I say, it's a Soto solo! Hashtag Soto solo, because that's what it is all the time. That's what it is. I think he's got, 25 home runs and 19 are solo shots. That's what it is. Armand, I only wanted Bader for center field if Duran came back in the package. So now you're talking about a 3-way deal? because you got Bader from Minnesota and Duran. Oh, Duran the closer. I was thinking Duran from Boston, that outfielder. Okay. Yeah, if Duran came back in the package, that would have taken a lot. Yeah. That would have taken a lot. You know what? I'd have been good with it. I'd have been good with it, but hey, Philly realized they had to do better than getting Carlos Estevez like they did last year, and they went out and got the best, but you know what? The Mets got two pretty damn good ones too. That's right, Armand. It's a Soto solo. So how am I feeling right now? Look, that series absolutely sucked in San Diego. San Diego's a very, very good team. This is not like getting swept by Pittsburgh or losing 2 out of 3 to Baltimore. But now they're going home, and the fact that they're going home to play San Francisco, guys, this is going to be very interesting. Very interesting. The Giants hitters know Rodgers. He knows them. Buno's going to be pitching for the Giants at least once. You know he is. You know he's coming into a high leverage situation. You know it. Oh, man. Can't you just imagine how that's going to go? Oh, boy. I'm glad the Mets have a day off. Because I need a day off for my birthday. I don't want them ruining my birthday tomorrow. That's the blessing and the curse of having your birthday on July 31st on the trade deadline. Oh, my God. Some days it's Yoenis Cespedes, and some days it's fucking Pete Crow Armstrong for Javi Baez. God dang it. Oh. Mets and 10 remain active. Yeah, they're pushing for a bat. They should. And not a bench bat. Not Darren Ruff. Not Daniel Vogelback. Not Tyler Naquin. No. I want an outfielder. I don't want Jeff McNeil starting in center field. With all due respect to Jeff McNeil, I don't need him there. I would like him as a bat off the bench. That's where I want Jeff McNeil. And then if Beatty or Mauricio or Vientos show, you can plug in McNeil as a starter. McNeil is your jack of all trades. I can't have him starting in center field in between Nimmo and Soto. Not going to happen. Not what I want. So I'm good with Mullins. I'm good with Robert. And the truth is, that's a position where there's not a lot of demand. So to me, you should be able to get them for lower ranked prospects. Like, whatever that may be. Something like if they had a trade, like a mid-level prospect, like Eli Serrano, who I saw, Boston Barrow, who's dropped a little bit, somebody like that. I'd be okay with that. Dom Hamill, something like that. But they shouldn't have to touch, in my mind, even their top 15 prospects. Will Watson, who I saw pitch in Greensboro, and believe me, I was not impressed at all by him. So, but we'll see what happens. So, this has been one crazy day. Frustrating, but you know what? There is some hope. And now let's see them go. Let's see what happens. Let's get a bat, David Stearns. Upgrade this lineup because it has been struggling way too much. Hey, Musicum, how you doing? I love these big, strong men they just traded for pretty good deals. Yeah, we'll see. I mean, we freaked out over the Darren Ruff trade years ago. And yes, Ruff was horrific. But what did the Mets give up? They gave up J.D. Davis and 3 guys who never made it in the majors. That's the truth. I don't expect Blade Tidwell to be anything more than, say, a middle reliever or back of the rotation starter. Jose Budo is what he is. I like Drew Gilbert. I think Drew Gilbert can be a good player if he stays healthy. I do like Gilbert's upside. And then on this end, Baez, you know what? A lot of raw ability, but he could go any way. He can go anyway. But there's definitely some talent there as a potential right-handed DH because he's got pure power. Nate Dome, fine. He's got some durability issues, but he's got some upside. And this other guy I never even heard of. He wasn't even in their top 30 prospects. So fine. Goodbye. So Mets have given up a lot. And interesting in these 3 trades, they have given up no position players off the major league roster. They've kept Beatty, they've kept Mauricio, and they've kept Vientos so far. So as I record right now, it's 7:30 on July 30th. 22 and a half hours from now. Will all 3 still be Mets? I don't know. Not if I had a bet, I would say no. I would think one of those pieces would go. But I know Musicum. Hey, you know what's really funny, Musicum? Tyler Naquin, who the Mets also got from Cincinnati, he sucked as well. He's a pitcher now. He converted to pitcher. So good luck to him. And Acuna. Armand, you're exactly right. Yeah, they kept Acuna. I could see Acuna going, but because you know what? You could get speed and defense from just about anywhere. Acuna is a fine late inning game replacement, but is he ever going to be more than that? Is he ever going to get on base enough to justify it? Or is he just going to be the next, Billy Hamilton, Travis Jankowski, different positions I know, but you know what I'm saying. I still think Acuna, if he could hit, I would make him center fielder because he could play it. I'm telling you, Acuna can play center field. But remember, not this year, but in the next year or the year after, the Mets have Jet Williams and Carson Bench, both of whom can play center. One of them will be the future center fielder for the New York Mets. And the Mets were not going to trade Jet, and they don't want to trade Carson Bench. That's why trading Drew Gilbert, the more I've thought about it, is a little bit more palatable. It was a bummer they had to trade their 10th and 12th prospects and a major league reliever to get a reliever who is a free agent after this season. That's what's frustrating me. And is Helsley a free agent as well? I'm sure he is. But that one wouldn't bother me quite as much, but still. 1 year, $8.25 million. Jeez. He's 31 years old. Yeah, he's a free agent after this year, too. All right. Well, the Mets have the money. I mean, they're in that luxury tax, but they're going to have to make some decisions. Yeah, they're both rentals. Armand thinks Beatty and Acuna both get traded. I think one. I don't think both. Or put it this way, if you trade both, you have to bring – because I don't think they're going to call up any position players. If you're trading 2 position players, I think you're trading for 2 position players. Like if I look at the Syracuse Mets roster right now, and Syracuse is having a great year, by the way. They're killing it. If I look at this roster right now, at infielders, outfielders, Luis De Los Santos, Yanni Hernandez, Joey Meneses, David Villar, Luke Ritter, those are the infielders. Outfield, you've got Jose Azucar, Gilberto Celestino, Omar De Los Santos, Rafael Ortega, Pablo Reyes, and Jared Young. Are there any players there that we need to be bringing up? There is not a single bat in AAA I need to see up here. Not one. No. All the big bats are in AA. That's where that's just the deal. So, yeah, I don't think you trade both. If the Mets are getting in one bat, you're not. I can't trade if you ask me to trade like Beatty and Acuna for Robert or for Mullins. I'm passing. I'm passing, man. No, not doing it. And again, I don't need a slugger. I want an on-base contact guy, a good all-around player who lengthens this lineup. Because if you look at the Mets stats because with the Mets batting stats, outside of Starling Marte, who's hitting well. Outside of that, I'm just going to look at the regulars here, like the qualifiers. So I'm going to go by average. I'm going to pretty much, I'm going to go by that. Okay, so Starling Marte is hitting 287. And if you look at players on the roster, the next best is Pete hitting 259, Nimmo 258, Soto 248, Jeff McNeil 248. Those two are unacceptable, by the way. Lindor 246, Mauricio 246, Alvarez 243, Acuna 239, Vientos 234, Winker 229, Beatty 227, Torrens 216, Tyrone Taylor 201. Guys, the Mets can't hit. They need somebody who gets on base at a frequent clip. And you can plug him in the 9-hole. I don't care. But the Mets need somebody who hits. Can we get somebody who hits 260 or better, please? 260. I'm not asking for Pete Rose. I'm not asking for Shoeless Joe Jackson. I'm not asking for Tony Gwynn. But can we get somebody who's hitting 260? I don't think that's asking too freaking much. I really don't. So I don't care too much about the power. Get me an on-base machine. It'll go a long way. A long way. All right, guys. I'm gonna get out of here. Went off the air. Turns out I got a 2-minute break. I had a wardrobe change. I went from the Jets jersey to the Matt Harvey jersey. So there you go. Everybody, thanks very much for joining. I'll do my best to record tomorrow. We'll see what winds up happening. Hard to do it at work. And since tomorrow's my birthday, I do have plans for part of the night. But even if it's a late night recording, I will do something if the Mets make more news. So everybody have a great night. And yeah, what the heck? Let's do it again. I will see you all right back here with more content from you know where. The Wicker Chair. Have a good one, everybody.